everyone, welcome to English Saka. This video is in continuation with our previous lesson, the last lesson. Today we are going to have the detailed explanation, that is part 2 of the same lesson. Before we go ahead, let's have a quick recapitulation. We learned in the previous part that this story is set against the background of the Franco-Prussian War, in which the French people got defeated under the hands of Prussian authorities, and two districts of Alsace and Lorraine of France passed into Prussian hands. So as a result, an order was passed by the Prussian authorities regarding teaching of German language in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine in place of French language. We are introduced with the French teacher M. Hamel, who deals with the students and people of these two districts, and for the last 40 years he had been serving the people, his nation, and he was very committed towards his duties as a teacher, as a nationalist, as a citizen of France. We see France, who is M. Hamel's student. When the story begins on the day of last lesson, Franz was late for his school and he was very much worried. He was very much apprehensive, and when he reaches the school, he describes the unusual scene that he observes. He observes various changes. He observed the sudden change in the classroom atmosphere. He finds that even M. Hamel was on his special attire that he generally wears on special occasions. And then later on, M. Hamel declares, to begin with his class, he makes the declaration about the announcement made by the German authority about the last French lesson. And as soon as this announcement was made, we see what kind of emotional changes Franz undergoes. He feels extremely sorry for, and he repents a lot that instead of attending M. Hamel's class regularly, he just wasted his time outside, and he regrets, he feels sorry, he sympathizes with M. Hamel that this man would not be there to teach them the French language. He feels very sorry that he was not able to learn his own language. He didn't know how to speak properly, learn and write properly the language. So Franz changed feelings towards M. Hamel and learning and language. These feelings have been highlighted. Now let's go ahead with the story. I heard M. Hamel. Now, just before this scene, we saw that it was Franz's turn to recite all the rules of participles, and as he was not prepared with the rules of participles, so he was totally not in a position to speak out the rules correctly, loud and clear. So he felt very embarrassed and he feared that M. Hamel would scold him. Let's see how did M. Hamel react to this. I heard M. Hamel say to me, I won't scold you, little Franz. You must feel bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, bah, I have plenty of time. I'll learn it tomorrow. And now you see where we have come out. So, through this statement, M. Hamel tries to have sympathy with the people, not only Franz, but all the other students, the villagers present there of Alsace and Lorraine, and he makes them realize the mistake that they had made in their past by not learning the language and by just procrastinating things. Procrastination is a serious fault in a personality. If we suffer from procrastination, that means we postpone things, we postpone our work. So it certainly works as a hurdle on the way of success. And Now, you see where we have come to, you see where do we stand today. Although we are French people and French language is our mother tongue, but see how ridiculous it is that we are unable to speak the language properly, write it properly. So, this way he makes them realize their mistake. Now, then he goes ahead. Your parents were not anxious enough, and now one after another factors have been highlighted here by M. Hamel. What are the different errors, mistakes that they committed? Your parents, for example, your parents. Now, here he blames the parents, how parents are responsible for this situation, that your parents were not anxious enough, they were not serious or worried enough, concerned enough to have you learn this language. They preferred to put you to work on a farm or at the mills so as to have a little more money. And it is a general tendency in village that the villagers prefer their children to work in the farms or some other work on daily on the basis of daily wages, so that it can help them continue their survival. And then after blaming the parents, how does M. Hamel blame himself? He didn't spare himself. According to him, as parents were responsible, he was also responsible for this situation. What is this situation? That the French people of Alsace and Lorraine, they do not know how to use, how to speak their own French language properly, how to write. So now, how does he blame himself? I have been to blame also. Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons? So it happened. It of course happened in the past, but not always. But even if M. Hamel, according to M. Hamel, even if for a single day did he ask his student that today the class is dismissed, and or some of you just go and water the plants outside in the garden. And similarly, whenever he would ask them that whenever he was not in a proper mood so that he could teach them properly, so he wanted to change his mood and he wanted to go for fishing and declare holiday, so he feels that he is responsible too for the lapses. Then after this, then from one thing to another, one topic to another topic, M. Hamel went on to talk of the French language. What did he tell the people, the students present there about the French language? That the French language was the most beautiful language in the world, the clearest language, the most logical. And he further added that we must guard it, we must protect it and among us, and never forget it. Because when our people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. So this was the lesson, the great lesson that was taught, or the important message that was conveyed through M. Hamel to all the students present there, including friends and other students and the other old and young villagers. So what did he say? So when in this particular expression, when he says that it is the most beautiful language in the world, the clearest, so this highlights that one should have this feeling of love and respect and honor towards one's own language, and should guard it. How can we guard our language? By using that language, by communicating in that language, by passing that language from one generation to another generation. So in this way, according to M. Hamel, when we remain fast, or we stick to our culture, we stick to our language, there will be always a hope that there will be a hope that we can get rid of the Prussian yoke, or the Prussian slavery. Then he opened a grammar and read us our lesson. after giving this important message that in the future although from next day onward German language would be taught to them, but they should not forget their own language. They should make all out efforts to learn the language on their own, and they should just pass it from one generation to another generation. Then after this he opened a grammar, the French grammar book he opened and read whichever lesson he chose for that particular day. He just explained, and now here Franz tells us that he was so amazed, he was so much astonished, as he couldn't believe that he understood everything whatever was taught by M. Hamel that day. And all he said seemed so easy, so easy. I think too that I had never listened so carefully, and that he had never explained everything with so much patience. Of course, it could be possible. Two reasons he guesses for his better understanding that day. Franz guesses that maybe he was very much attentive that day, and similarly the teacher M. Hamel was at his best. So it seems, so these are the two factors that are very important, vital for the success of teaching learning: students interest, students concentration, attention, and the teacher's skill and ability. So it seemed almost as if the poor man, which poor man? M. Hamel wanted to. Why he has been termed as poor man? Because that was the last day of him there. So, and his helplessness has been highlighted here. The poor man wanted to give us all he knew, as if he imparted to he wanted to impart all the knowledge that he had about French language. He wanted to give them all the tips and what should they do to guard it, and how can they learn their language before leaving the place. And he wanted to put the entire knowledge that he had into the heads and brains of these people at one stroke, one attempt. So this was the commitment that M. Hamel had towards his duties and towards his nation. This has been emphasized here. Now, after the grammar, we had a lesson in writing there, and that day M. Hamel had new copies for us, new handouts written in a beautiful round hand, and what expression was written there at the top of the copies, or each copy: France, Alsace, France, Alsace. So they looked like little flags floating everywhere in the school room, hung from the rod at the top of the desk. And you ought to have seen how everyone set to work. And when this writing session was going on, according to Franz, everyone was so much attentive, and there was an unusual silence present there. And how quiet it was. The only sound was the scratching of the pens over the papers. And apart from this, there was only the sound of scratching of pens over papers, but some other sounds were there. For example, once some beetles, flying insects, flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them now, because they were very much attentive to the work they had been assigned. Not even the littlest ones, who worked right on tracing their fish hook, a picture, a diagram, a drawing of fish hook, or a question mark shaped object made of metal, generally to catch or hang any object. Fish hook, as it was French too, and the dedication and the feeling, utmost emotion with which they were tracing the shape of fish hooks showed that they were just pouring out their patriotic feelings. On the roof, now Franz noticed that on the roof the pigeons cooed very low, and thought, and as soon as he heard the cooing of the pigeons in their own voice, natural voice, he just thought, an idea struck his mind, and maybe a sarcastic idea, just a thought full of sarcasm came in his mind, that will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? Will they? Will who? The Prussian. So here, the author, through the mouthpiece of France, highlights the fact that the powerful rulers can rule over other weak human beings, that but it's almost impossible for them to rule out all the creatures. For example, although they can impose German language on these people, of enslaved people of Alsace and Lorraine, but definitely it's not possible for them to make the pigeons and other creatures speak in or coo in German language. So this brings out the limitation of colonial rule. So whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw M. Hamel. Now, in what condition did he find M. Hamel? When all the students were engaged in their activities, he saw M. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair and almost gazing first at one thing and then at another, one after another. He was looking at different things, and Franz felt as if the poor man wanted to fix in his mind, have a permanent fixed picture of each and everything of the classroom, that just how everything looked in that little school room, so that he can have sweet memories of his class afterwards, when after leaving this place. So fancy, just imagine, for 40 years he had been there in the same place. Which same place? Alsace, with his garden outside the window and his class in front of him, just like that. And just imagine how terrible, how difficult is it for this man who had been here for the last 40 years to leave this place. Now, according to Franz, for the last 40 years he had been teaching French language to the people with the same dedication. Not a single change occurred in his attitude, in his devotion. Only the changes that occurred, only the desk and benches of the classroom had been worn smooth, became battered, their condition deteriorated with the passage of time, and the walnut trees in the garden outside became taller, and the hop vine, we can see in the picture the hop vine, the grapevine that was 40 years ago or few years ago very small, now he had planted himself. Now it almost twined about and grew taller and twined about the windows to the roof. From the window it reached the roof. Now, how it must have broken his heart to leave it all. So he tries to imagine, he tries to condole with the situation of M. Hamel, that how heartbroken he must be, poor man, and how he must feel to hear his sister moving about in the room above. Now, at this point, we learn that M. Hamel was not at all, not alone. He was with his sister, and his sister was upstairs, engaged in packing their baggage as they were supposed to leave the very next day. So he just says had enough empathy for M. Hamel, that how he must be heartbroken. But he had the courage to hear. But at the same time, we observe that M. Hamel never showed any such kind of helplessness in front of the students. But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. After the writing, we had a lesson in history, and then the babies chanted their ba, be, bi, bo, bu letters, French letters, the French syllables. And then down there, and this session was going chanting of the syllables by alphabets by the little ones. Down there at the back of the room, old Hauser had put on his spectacles and holding his primer book in both hands, he also spelled the letters with the young boys, the little ones. and you could see that he too was crying. He was also choked. He could not speak out properly, and when he was crying, and at the same time when he was spelling out the letters with the little children, his voice trembled, or there was a kind of quivering or shivering in his voice with emotion, and it sounded really very much strange. And it was so funny to hear him, that we all of them wanted to laugh and cry, but nobody laughed. How well I remember it, that last lesson. And through this expression, he exclaims that he could never forget that last lesson. Now, all right, then all at once the church clock struck 12. It was 12 noon, and then the Angelus. Then the Angelus. Angelus refers to the church prayer, generally offered in the morning, noon, and evening. So, and this was a signal that he was allowed to continue his last lesson up to 12. So, at the same moment, the trumpets of the Prussian soldiers returning from their drill sounded under our windows. M. Hamel stood up as soon as all these things were heard, the Angelus and the sound of the trumpet. M. Hamel understood now that it was now to wind up the class. M. Hamel stood up. He looked very pale, very dull. He looked very nervous, and he stood up in his chair. And Franz says that he never saw him look so tall. Here, looking so tall means looking so much disappointed and depressed. Then, before leaving the people, before leaving the class, he addressed his students. My friends, said he, but something choked him. He could not go, and it was a crucial moment for him. His voice was choked. He almost became speechless out of emotions, and then he turned to the blackboard. As he was not able to speak what he wanted to say, he just turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and bearing on with all his power, whatever strength he had, he wrote as large as he could, Vive la France. This expression means Long live France. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall, and without a word. And this gesture, when he just stopped and he didn't have the courage to face the people, he made a gesture. Gesture refers to any signal that we movement using our arms, head, or arms and head, we make a kind of signal. He made a gesture to them with his hand without looking at them. School is dismissed. You may go. And this is the end of the last lesson. These are a few questions. These are textual questions. What was Franz expected to be prepared with the school that day? The work that was assigned here, that is to be commented. What did Franz notice? What was unusual about the strange things that he observed about the classroom environment, M. Hamel, and the students present in the class? What had been put up on the bulletin board? What was the news? What changes did the order from Berlin cause in school that day? As soon as that order about the last French lesson came, what changes had been occurred in the class of M. Hamel? How did Franz's feeling about M. Hamel and school change? The people in this story suddenly realize how precious their language is to them. What shows you this? Why does this happen? Now we need to comment upon this. Franz thinks, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? What could this mean? Now, this is a kind of sarcastic thought that came in the mind of Franz regarding the limitation of the Prussian authority, the power of the Prussian authority. Now, some additional questions. These are exam specific questions. What a thunderclap. These words were to me. What were those words, and what was their effect on Franz? Which words are referred here? The words were spoken by M. Hamel, in which he makes a declaration about the last lesson as per the order from Berlin. Why were some elderly persons occupying the back benches that day? The elderly persons, which generally remain absent, who hardly attend M. Hamel's class, why did they come that day? To show their respect and love for their language, to their nation, and to M. Hamel. What shows M. Hamel's love for the French language? On the basis of complete understanding of the text, we need to pick up instances from the story that show that he was dedicated towards French language. He really loved the language. Why was M. Hamel kind to Franz even though he was late for school? The reason. Last lesson. What did M. Hamel tell the class about French language? When he almost starts his session, first he speaks about the French language, describes it as the most beautiful language, and what else does he tell? We need to comment on that. Justify the title, the last lesson. Whenever a question on justification of title is asked, we need to justify on the basis of the content of the story, that how the content revolves around the title. So here we come to the end of this session. If you like this video, do share and do subscribe my channel and press the bell icon if you want to get the latest notification. Thank you so much.